Spottedleaf's Heart, Chapter 10. Spotted Paw stopped to catch her breath and wonder why she had ever wanted to be a medicine cat. Goosefeather had coughed himself hoarse and was demanding freshly soaked moss, which meant a slippery walk to a rivulet that had formed recent rain near the top of the ravine. Spotted Paw had lost count of how many bundles of moss she had carried back from the tiny stream. She was close to telling all the elders to sit in the clearing with their mouths open next time it rained to save her some time. As she trudged back down the path, she saw tawny spots emerge from the dirt place. "Must have eaten a mangy blackbird," he mewed. But Spotted Paw looked at his hollow flanks and the way each step made him flinch, and knew he was much sicker than that. Cats had started wondering how long he would be able to stay as deputy, and how soon Sunstar would appoint Thistleclaw instead. Spotted Paw braced her shoulders to push through the gorse and reminded herself to count out the herb supplies again, to see if there was any way of boosting them with the leaves that were available now. "Spotted Paw, did you bring me back a treat?" Moss Kit bounded up on paws that seemed too big for her. And me! Mewed Misty Kit, trotting after her sister. Her stubby tail stuck straight up in the air, and her dark gray fur was fluffed up around her ears. "Come on, Stone Kit, Spotted Paw's brought us a treat." Spotted Paw put down the solid lump of moss as the little cats bounced around her. Bluefur's kits were a moon old now, and growing fast in spite of the cold. Stone Kit stuck his nose into the moss and jumped back, shaking droplets from his muzzle. "Wet moss is a yucky treat," he complained. "That's because it's not meant for you," Spotted Paw meowed, picking up the moss before any more kits attacked it and carrying it to the elder's den. Goosefeather was lying on his side in the nest, breathing laboriously. He started lapping at the moss at once, lashing his tail when Mumblefoot tried to crouch alongside to share it. "I'll get some more," Spotted Paw promised warily. As she headed back across the clearing, she passed Thrushpelt, who was staggering under the weight of a plump squirrel. "Good catch," Spotted Paw called. "Is that for us?" squeaked Misty Kit, racing over to sniff at the squirrel. A piece of fur stuck to her muzzle, and she sneezed. "That's a real treat," mewed Stone Kit. "Of course, it's for you," Thrushpelt purred. "Is there any cat more important to feed than you?" Moss Kit shook her head. "I don't think so," she replied with a serious expression in her blue eyes. "The warrior code says kits and elders have to be fed first, and that's us." Blue Fur padded over from the tree stump where she had been talking to Rosetail. "Actually, I just fed them," she mewed to Thrushpelt. "You can put that squirrel on the fresh kill pile." "That's not fair," wailed Misty Kit. "Thrushpelt said he had caught it for us." "I'm your mother," Blue Fur meowed. "If I say you've had enough to eat, then you have." Spotted Paw waited for Thrushpelt to remind Blue Fur that he was their father, and if he wanted to catch fresh kill for them, that was his right. But Thrushpelt said nothing, simply picked up the squirrel with a murmured apology to the kits and carried it away. "That's not fair," Stone Kit pouted, turning his back on Blue Fur. "Life isn't fair," Blue Fur retorted, but her attention was drifting away and her gaze fixed on the gorse tunnel. Thistleclaw had returned at the head of a border patrol, with Tiger Claw bouncing beside him. Their pelts were fluffed up, and Tiger Claw's muzzle bore signs of claw marks. "Those kitty pets won't be coming back into ThunderClan territory again," Thistleclaw declared. "Tiger Claw will be picking up their fur from his claws for the next moon." Sunstar pricked his ears from where he had sat beneath High Ledge. "More intruders?" he asked. "I knew the scent markers beside Two Leg Place yesterday. I can't believe those kitty pets have crossed them again." "Don't worry," Thistleclaw assured him. "Our borders are safe now." The rest of his patrol entered the clearing, and Spotted Paw noticed that Fuzzy Pelt was limping. She went over to the Black Warrior and studied and asked if he was okay. Fuzzy Pelt twitched his ears. "It's nothing, just a splinter." "Let me have a look." Spotted Paw steered him to the edge of the clearing and bent down to study his paws. Sure enough, a shard of wood stuck in the soft part of his pad. "I can get this out, but it might sting a bit," she mewed. Before Fuzzy Pelt could object, she gripped the tip of the splinter in her teeth and tugged it free. Ow! Fuzzy Pelt jumped backward, then tested his paw on the ground and nodded. Much better. Thanks, Spotted Paw. Spotted Paw was studying the splinter. It was very pale and straight and had a long, distinctive smell. This hadn't come from a tree or a fallen branch. Where'd you get this? She meowed. Fuzzy Pelt shrugged. I don't know, somewhere in the forest, I guess. He sounded evasive, and then Spotted Paw looked at him. He couldn't meet his eye. I recognize this scent, she murmured. You got this splinter from a two-leg fence, didn't you? Did Thistleclaw lead a patrol in a two-leg place looking for kitty pets? She felt cold beneath her pelt. Fuzzy Pelt's yellow eyes filled with confusion. He said we weren't to say anything. Those kitty pets need to be taught a lesson. They keep crossing our borders. But they didn't cross them today, Spotted Paw pointed out. Not since Sunstar removed the scent markers. Thistleclaw should not have gone into two-leg territory. No harm done, Fuzzy Pelt mewed uneasily. I wonder if the kitty pet whose fur is underneath Tiger Claws would agree. Fuzzy Pelt backed away, looking relieved when Thistleclaw summoned him to the fresh kill pile. My warriors need to eat, the gray and white warrior declared. They're not his warriors, growled a voice beside Spotted Paw. She jumped and turned to see Blue Fur beside her, scowling at Thistleclaw. He took that patrol in a two-leg place, didn't he? The gray she-cat hissed. That was not his decision to make. Are you going to tell Sunstar? Spotted Paw asked. Blue Fur lashed her tail. What would be the point? Ever since our victory in the battle with River Clan, which Thistleclaw claims he fought single paw, Sunstar listens to everything he says. You know he's taken over organizing all the patrols now. Spotted Paw nodded. We're going to have to get used to him being in charge. Sunstar is bound to make him our next deputy. Blue Fur's eyes darkened. Not if I can help it, she rasped, and Spotted Paw flinched. She gestured with her tail to where Stone Kit, Moss Kit, and Misty Kit were playing pounds with a dead leaf. Thistleclaw can't be that important to you, she urged. You have 3 other lives to think about now. To her astonishment, Blue Fur's eyes clouded with sorrow. I love them so much, she murmured, but I love my clan too. I could never wish they had been born, but why now? What if my clan needs me more than they do? Spotted Paw froze. Had Blue Fur intended for her to hear that? The queen sounded so desperate, so lonely. The Spotted Paw couldn't bring herself to ask what she meant. Instead, she mewed. You are not alone, Blue Fur. Thrushpelt will always help to care for your kits. The queen looked at her, though her gaze seemed focused on something beyond Spotted Paw. I cannot ask more of him than I already have. That he's their father. The word stuck in Spotted Paw's throat. Was Blue Fur about to tell her that wasn't true? Blue Fur sighed. Love can lead a cat so far astray that it becomes too late to turn back, she whispered. Spotted Paw thought of how she had fallen for Thistleclaw, how her foolish heart had been blind to his cruelty and his ambition until she watched him kill a cat in the dark forest. It's never too late, she blurted out. You can always change the path you follow. Blue Fur stared at her kits, who had finished demolishing the dead leaf and were now stalking the tip of Mumblefoot's tail. I have a decision to make, she mewed softly, but I am filled with too much love and too much fear. What do you mean? Spotted Paw pressed. Can I help? The queen shook her head. No, this is something I must do alone. She padded away, not to her kids, but to the gorse tunnel. Spotted Paw watched her leave, her belly heavy with dread. Blue Fur sounded as if she was about to choose between life and death. She had been so serious. What was she going to do? A full gleaming moon hung over the trees, turning the snow-covered ground silver. The air in the camp crackled with tension as warriors circled, ready to set off for the gathering. Spotted Paw was staying behind to watch over Tawny Spots, who had weakened so much that Featherwhisker ordered him to sleep in the medicine den. She stood among the ferns at the edge of the clearing, watching her mentor talk quietly to Sunstar. Spotted Paw, can I ask you a favor? It was Blue Fur, her eyes huge and anxious. Her breathing hung in a cloud around her muzzle. Of course. Are the kids all right? They're fine. I wore them out yesterday with a game of hide and seek, so they should sleep till dawn. Blue first shifted her paws. I want to go to the gathering tonight. Please, will you check on my kits while I'm away? White Eye said she had watched them, but she has her paws full with Running Kit and Mouse Kit. Spotted Pot blinked. A nursing queen never went to gatherings, not when her kids still needed her, but there was something desperate in Bloofer's gaze that made her nod. Yes, I'll keep an eye on them, she meowed. Bloofer blinked warmly at her. Thank you, Spotted Paw. I will remember this. She trotted away, and her blue-gray pelt merged with the other warriors as they headed into the gorse. Spotted Paw made sure that Tawny Spots was comfortable and gave him another mint leaf to chew. Mercifully, she had found a fresh plant near the river that had been sheltered from the worst of the snow. The leaves would ease Tawny Spot's bellyache, though Spotted Paw knew there was little more that she and Feather Whisker could do to help him. When Tawny Spots had finished his leaf and was dozing with his chin propped on the edge of his nest, Spotted Paw trotted over to the nursery. Her paws crunched in the snow, and the bitter cold stung her pads. She poked her head through the brambles and was relieved to see that all the kits and White Eye were fast asleep, tiny snores filling the air. The nursery was warm and milk-scented, and for a moment Spotted Paw was tempted to creep in and curl up among the kits, but she wouldn't sleep tonight, at least not until Feather Whisker returned. She was the sole medicine cat in the clan, and all the cats here were in her charge. Puffing out her fur, Spotted Paw headed back to the den to wait out the night. The cats returned just before dawn, quiet and hunched from the cold. Spotted Paw nodded to them as they trooped into the clearing and headed for their dens. Bloofer stopped beside her. Her eyes were clear, and she seemed much calmer now. Have you decided what to do? Spotted Paw asked. Bloofer nodded. I have made my choice. She walked away without saying anything, and Spotted Paw wondered if she would ever know what that decision had been. Spotted Paw opened her eyes with a start. What was that noise? The sky filled with stars, hazy in the bitter cold. More snow had fallen since the gathering, and all around the medicine den, the ferns were flattened under the weight of its icy white pelt. Spotted Paw sat up. Was Tawny Spots stirring in his den? She craned her neck to see, but the deputy seemed to be lying still, breathing loudly but steadily. The noise came again, a soft rustle and the tiniest murmur. Spotted Paw stepped out of her den and crept past Feather Whisker and Tawny Spots, thinking starkly that she had forgotten how to stalk like a warrior. The clearing was still and silent, every sound muffled by the snow. Spotted Paw padded over to the nursery and listened, but only soft snores came from inside. What had disturbed her? She turned toward the gorse tunnel. Stormtail was on guard tonight, back to warrior duties now that Feather Whisker had found herbs to help him with his thirsting sickness. Spotted Paw decided to check that he was okay in the bitter cold. She pushed through the frosty gorse, shivering as icy thorns brushed the back of her neck. Stormtail jumped when she appeared, then let out a purr. I was almost dozing off, he told her. It's so quiet out here. Better than a Shadow Clan invasion, Spotted Paw joked. Suddenly, she spotted movement behind Stormtail halfway up the ravine. Was it a cat? Why weren't they using any regular path? She peered closer. Great Star Clan, it's Bloofer and the kits. What could possibly be happening? Spotted Paw pictured the desperation in Bloofer's eyes when she talked about her kits and the decision she had to make. Should she tell Stormtail? He would take Bloofer straight back to camp. Do I trust Bloofer enough to let her go? Spotted Paw had no doubt that Bloofer loved her kits. Whatever she's doing, she won't let any harm come to them. In the shadows, Bloofer slipped and a twig cracked. Stormtail pricked his ears and began to turn around. What's that? Stormtail pointed with her tail to the other side of the ravine. Stormtail jumped to his paws and stared into the bushes. Where? Behind her, Spotted Paw heard a tiny rustling sound. Had Bloofer taken her kits out of sight yet? She didn't dare to turn around. Just by that tall tree, Spotted Paw mewed. She walked over to Stormtail and pretended to peer more closely. I'm sure I saw something move there. Maybe a fox? I'll check it out, Stormtail growled. He patted away, his pelt bristling along his spine. Spotted Paw stayed where she was, watching Stormtail prowl into the undergrowth. She was desperate to follow Bloofer and find out where she was going, but she couldn't risk Stormtail seeing her go up the ravine. The warrior returned, his pelt ruffled from the brambles. No trace of any scent, he reported. I'm sure I saw something, Spotted Paw persisted. It was heading farther along the ravine. Why don't you check that way, and I'll go up to the top and see if I can spot anything? Stormtail nodded and headed back the way he had come. Spotted Paw paced up the path, her feet slipping in the snow. More flakes were falling, making Spotted Paw blink and shake her head. She strained to spot any signs of a trail in the darkness. Which way had they gone? In the shelter of some brambles, she spotted a faint trail of paw prints, some large and some so tiny she could hardly make them out. It looked as if they had taken the path that led to Stunning Rocks. Spotted Paw took a deep breath and started walking through the bracken, lifting each paw high out of the snow and shaking it to get some feeling into her toes. Ice clumped against her belly, and her ears stung with cold. I hope the kids are all right. The night closed silently around her, and Spotted Paw wondered if she had lost them. She pushed her way into a clump of ferns, trying to find some shelter. Then she heard voices up ahead, low and urgent. Spotted Paw peeked through the stalks and made out two bulky shapes on the shore of the frozen river. One of them turned toward her, and she shrank back out of sight. This was Bluefur's secret to keep. The larger shape started to make its way down the shore, with a cluster of tiny shadows stumbling beside it. Spotted Paw gasped. Was Bluefur giving her kits away? Why would she do that? She could think of only one reason, so that Bluefur could leave the nursery and take over as clan deputy instead of Thistleclaw. This was a measure of how much she loved her clanmates and how much she feared Thistleclaw, even without seeing him in the dark forest. Spotted Paw sighed. Thistleclaw has changed both our destinies, Bluefur. You'll never realize how much you and I have in common. StarClan, please keep Bluefur's kits safe. Let them grow bold and strong, and above all else, loved. Spotted Paw prayed as she crashed among the bracken. The air stirred around her, and a warm, half-familiar scent drifted into her muzzle. Spotted Paw narrowed her eyes and saw the faintest white furred shape slip through the stalks in front of her. We will do our best. A voice breathed inside her mind. Thank you for trusting my sister, Spotted Paw. Snowfur? Spotted Paw whispered. Is that you? But the ferns around her were still and silent, and the pale shape had vanished in the falling snow. Bluefur and I will do our best, too, Spotted Paw vowed. I will never be foolish or blind again. Thistleclaw has shown me where my destiny truly lies. From now on, my heart belongs to my clan.